It has been a long 9 months for Nico Harrison and the Dallas Mavericks, but it's finally come to an end. 9 months after the Luka Doncic trade, GM Nico Harrison has been fired by the Dallas Mavericks as of today. And as I look back on this move, of course, anybody who looks at it, even at the time, was going to ridicule it. They were going to critique it and ask, why would you ever trade somebody like Luka Doncic? And especially as we go into this season, the start that Luka has had, the start the Mavericks have had, that's two polar opposite ends of the spectrum. It has not looked good for Dallas. It has not aged well. It wasn't good in the moment. It's even worse right now. And as I look back on the trade, though, I think Nico Harrison is a general manager who had a misguided vision. This is somebody who had a vision of a championship contender, of what it took to win that Larry O'Brien trophy, but he didn't quite understand what needed to be done to get there. You see, when they traded away Luka Doncic, his justification was that he was a poor defender, that he had a severe lack of conditioning, and that in his mind, defense was undeniably what was going to win them a championship, what was going to bring a trophy home to Dallas. GM Nico Harrison had a rule in his mind, a vision of what it took to be a championship team. But he failed to realize one thing, and that is that when it comes to a rule, more often than not, there's going to be an exception at some point. That's why when you propose an argument, you don't say always. Because if you do, someone can point to simply one example where it didn't work and counter your whole argument. There's nearly always an exception that somebody can point to. And Luka Doncic, in my mind, was an exception. Because, yes, there were critiques to be had. But at the end of the day, this was a generational offensive talent. Your essential offensive hub, the guy the whole team ran around. You don't simply trade a guy like that. Your franchise cornerstone, a top 5 guy in the league who just led you to the finals. Nico Harrison had a rule in mind, a bar for what it took to be a championship team. But he forgot that there was an exception to that rule. His vision was one in which his peripheral vision was blocked, and he could simply see ahead, nothing else. He could not see the nuances that were beside him. All he could see was the path forward, and the path forward for him was not the right way to go about it. His tenure as Mavericks GM is finally over, and GM Nico Harrison, when I look back on that trade, when I think back on his tenure, losing Luka Doncic, losing Jalen Brunson, he had an idea in mind for what he wanted to do, but he didn't go about it in the right way, and he failed to realize that there was an exception to his rule. Nico Harrison is out in Dallas, and it's all because of his misguided vision. And now the Dallas Mavericks will look to chart their way forward, facing perilous waters in a potentially unseen sea, where they don't know what's ahead. But what they do know is that they will be having a new captain that will look to right the ship and part the sea as they look to get back on track to the island of relevancy.